Okay, before we get started today, there is a lot going on in the world. We definitely want to give our love, peace, and God to Minneapolis right now. And in addition to that, Ricky's funeral services are going on right now in Virginia. So I wish nothing but love, peace, and God to his family, to his wife, Nisa, to his kids, to his parents, to his siblings, to everyone whose lives were touched by Ricky. And for those of you who can, please donate to the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation in memory of Ricky. And I created this bit.ly link to go directly to the donation link with the flesh because Ricky loved Madhouse. Ricky loved the flesh. So that is in tribute of Ricky. And with that being said, Michael Dean won't be here, but I am not by myself because Ricky's spirit is with me and also all of you. So I'm going to get started with our Madhouse for the week. And I want to say welcome to week 2 of What Did Prince Do This Week? We are week 2 of 1986, and first in the chat was Cassandra Bradley. And yes, we're definitely praying for all in Minneapolis. And we have Anna B, second in the chat. Another glorious Saturday with the Purple Band Book Club. Love that. And we have Nick Belden in the house from Denver. And let me know if you can hear me okay. I think I'm coming through, but I sound weird to myself. I can see that my audio is coming through, so just let me know if you can hear me okay. And we got Jamal Rowland coming in. Thank you for that. Dear Estate, please, Madhouse for Ricky. And as Ricky would say, as you come on in, hit that like button. Hit that like button for Ricky. We miss him so, because he would be showing up right about now, knowing that I was by myself. What up, though, Andre? We have RTL 49. We have Lisa Williams from H-Town. We have Garland Fuller. Yes. God bless Ricky's family. Thank you so much. Yes, like Prince said, we must love one another. We got Sister Charles from H-Town. Welcome, Nikki. It's so great to have you here in person in real time. Thank you so much. We have Love Sexy 71. We have Ron Kayla. We have Deborah. Yes, hope everyone's doing okay in these crazy, crazy times. Good morning, Christina. I hope all is well. I know that you were in Minneapolis. Peace and love. We have TP in the house. Oh, here's my heart. Welcome, Mila. It's so great to have you here. I hope you had a great Christmas holiday, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, all of that. And we got Man Ray 10. How y'all are? Love that. We got Heavenly Games. Good afternoon, Purple People. We got Purple Cat Confetti. We have Karan. Love, light, and to everyone. We have Stephanie Mills. Prayers up for Ricky. Yes. We got Theo. Yes, definitely. Sending everlasting purple love to Ricky and his family in light of his funeral services that are going on right now. Welcome, Audria. It's always good to have you here every Saturday. Yes, rest in heaven, Ricky. I love that, Lisa. Thank you. We have Drea Dances. We have EA from San Francisco. Yes, Kim. You need to breathe. And we have JD from Chile. Oh my God, it's Chile in LA. We have Capo Lavoro, if I'm saying that all right, from Europe. Welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Carol, you're here on time today. Thank you so much for being here. We have Raywin. Thank you, Christina, for letting us know that things are okay in Minneapolis, even though things are not okay. Oh boy. And we have Vanessa in the chat. Vanessa, have you gone over to the west side yet, or are you still here? Yes. Thank you, JD. This too shall pass. Thank you for that. So you are packing. Okay. Thank you for being here during some of your final days on the East Coast. We will miss you so. Yes. And we made it to another Saturday. Yes. Ray, when we talked all about this last week, probably talk about 30 or 40 minutes in episode 1 of 1986 about Stranger Things. So if you want to go back to that conversation, you can. And yes, prayers for Minneapolis, and we got Taosophy. Yes. All right. So let's get our housekeeping done. This is what did Prince do this week, and we're going week to week, not date to date. Getting to the end. Love the way this song ends. All right, and this is the schedule. This I'm going to start just posted it here, so you don't have to go anywhere else. And you do not need the paperback version, but this is the version that has all the updates. And this is kind of where we are in the book with my bookmark here. We're almost, well, actually more than half. Oh no, we still got a lot to go. Actually, I was about to say halfway through, but a lot of it is also like the amazing annotations, the notes that Duane gives us, and that takes up about that much of the book. So we're almost halfway through the book. And please subscribe and hit the like button as you come on in. And these are archived at Polished Solid as well as at MDing. Michael can't be with us today, but you can watch it on his channel. And our hashtag is WDPDTW for Why Do People Dance This Weird? And if you want to reach out to us with anything, you can always reach us at this Gmail, which is WDPDTW. So we got Morning fam. So Raywin, so you missed last episode. So the last episode we had Duane Tudahl who joined us, and it's looking like it's either going to be 87, 88 or 87 through 89. So we can't wait. Duane is currently working on that volume. So that is going to be the third volume, and I am thrilled because it will be all about sexy. And then we have, I can't remember if I said hello to Carol Brooks. Yes, love to Ricky and his family. That loss is still a heaviness in my heart. Thank you for that, Carol. And yes, Anna Ricky's spirit is always among us, like right now. And condolences to the deepest condolences to his family and friends. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, the PBS Funk documentary, We Want the Funk. You're the second person who reached out to me about that this week. So thank you for that. I don't know, something must be going on with the documentary, but it was a blast to be able to talk about Prince and Sly Stone and a lot of other funk artists. All right. So the estate of Prince Rogers Nelson is not affiliated, associated, or connected with the What Did Prince Do This Week book club series. This is an independent endeavor. And our community guidelines, we choose to be a community even when we disagree. And we played Madhouse 2 from 8 for Ricky. And you can see if you go to Prince Vault, which we love, you can see that it's only Eric Leeds on sax and everything else is Prince. And this is so important to understand. And that is the reason why Madhouse should have a box set because it is Prince. All right, so we are episode number 154, week 2 of 1986 of What Did Prince Do This Week? What We Know. Thanks so much, Neil Dash. And this week in 1986, let's look at this. Prince is back in the studio like full force. 7 studio sessions, 4 new songs. Ooh, I love this. All right, we got Where Does Prince Define Total Wonderment? That is incredible, Theo. Love this one. The Answer, the studio. I got to say that one more time. Where does Prince define total wonderment? That is beautiful. Thank you for that, Theo. And we got Mooches in the house with Vanity. And it was Vanity's birthday this past week. It was on Sunday, if I remember correct, if I got my dates right. So it's always a pleasure to have you with us, Mooches. And this is what the week is looking like. Let me go full screen so you can see. That's right, Kim. Theo has a way with words. And I'm trying something new out in that I am going to make the new songs red because we sort of transitioned to our parade color scheme, black and white. And in some cases, I don't always count a tracking for the week. For instance, on Friday, there were some tracking of Under the Cherry Moon score cues, but I don't know exactly what they are. So I don't count that as a song. But for those that I do count as a song, I'm going to start having them be read for 1986. So you'll see on Sunday, and I could be wrong in my saying this, but all of these sessions right about now, I just lump them under the flesh, even though Duane calls them something else in the book. But essentially, there are 4 new songs today. Groove and C on Sunday of 1986, and that is Sunday the 5th. So groove in C minor, slow groove in G major, slow groove in G flat minor, and junk music. And we all know about junk music because it shows up in the, in Parade, as well as the film Under the Cherry Moon. And on Monday, there's another Parade compilation. We've had one of those before. And we have Can I Play With You? I can't remember what that stands for, and Possible Mix. It was some kind of copy. What was it? We'll read about it. And then Evolsidog mix and overdubs, Evolsidog instrumental mix, Mia Bocca mix and overdubs, Rough mix and overdubs. On Wednesday, Rough mix and overdubs, A Couple Mouths, Possible Mix. Thursday, Junk Music Edit, and Up From Below Edit. And There Is a God Because I Have the One and Only C. Lee McGinnis joining us.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Cool. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Raymond, have you not been listening to me? I told you that Michael's not going to be with us today. He's just taking a day off, but he's totally fine. Thank you for that, Carol. Safety copy. Yes. And yes, we're so excited to have C. Lee in the house with us. And we've already done the housekeeping. We're talking about what's going on for the week. Yes, safety copy. And so we were just on Thursday, Up From Below edits. And then Madrid, I want some more Under Cherry Moon score cues on Friday. And then Mobile, I guess, or I say Mobile because I'm from Alabama. So I don't. Do you know which one it's supposed to be? Celie, is it supposed to be Mobile or Mobile? I don't know. I call it Mobile just because I'm just from Alabama. So we'll go with Mobile, but it's probably Mobile.
But you know what? I'm like you, but I go the opposite because I think Mobile. So I assume everybody else doesn't think Mobile. So I just say Mobile because I know that you and me are only folks below Memphis know Mobile. So that's why I figure it's Mobile.
Yeah, it's probably Mobile, but I'm going to call it Mobile anyway. And I love this. Thank you so much, Heavenly Gains. That red tone matches that suit Prince had on. That's right. Prince could definitely wear some red. That's for sure. And I love this song. Greetings, C. Lee, Jackson State.
Appreciate it.
Yes. All right. Oh, see, well, Audra's from the South too, so that's
Okay.
why. Yeah, Mobile. All
You're
right.
you right, man. Ray 10. You're exactly right. So
Oh, okay. We got a lot of people. Drea Dancer says they say it like us.
okay.
But Kim is also from the South, Mobile. We're gonna just claim it. We're just gonna say Mobile.
There you go.
Yeah, there we go. And so we're gonna get started with Sunday, January 5th, and I will read this. Ooh, it's a long one, but we're not gonna read all of it. So because I went through everything when I was through the week, I'm not gonna bore you with this, but so all these songs happen at Sunset Sound, Studio 3, 8 p.m. through 3:30 a.m. Booked, locked out. Producer Prince, artist Prince / The Flesh, engineer Coke Johnson, assistant engineer Mike Kloster. And this is Eric Leeds. We recorded a lot in 86. That was probably the most prolific. You know, C. Lee, one of the things that I would love to do, and I haven't really sat down to do it yet, because I used to get in arguments with my friends about which year was Prince's most prolific.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people say 86, because I even say like 87 is like Prince flood, but it's the Prince flood only because of 86, because he did all the work in 86.
Right.
But then, if you think about, there's just so many years, like 82. I mean, there's just so many years that you could say Prince was the most prolific.
And I'm with you. I would say it's difficult. And my argument gets deflated because I am a 92, 96 person, like with everything that was happening around gold. But the problem with that is most of that came out. Like that was whole Prince, so when you start talking about 92, 96, the problem with 92, 96 is you don't have a lot of boots other than live stuff, because what Prince was trying to do to backdoor Warner Brothers, we got a lot of that stuff. So I don't think that a lot of people like to count that, because there's not as much bootleg as if you go back and pick an 80s era, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. Yeah, for sure. But as Love Sexy points out, the 1990s was surprisingly also very productive.
Yeah. I think that people, I think for obvious reasons and also for non-obvious reasons, people don't realize that, I would say part of the course, Prince was probably just as productive in the 90s as far as what he was making and putting out. It wasn't as popular. But I will tell you that I was just as high and just as excited a Prince fan. Like I remember I was working, I worked for 2 years on a doctor, and so I was driving an hour and a half where I was going, and like all of the stuff we had before Com came out, and remember the show we got, the NBA show with and we got that with which became I don't know why I'm losing my mind, which became the interactive show, and then all of that. I remember riding with that in the cassette, driving from Clarksdale to Hattiesburg. I'm sorry, driving from Jackson to Hattiesburg. It was like an hour 15, and just being so happy and so geeked that we was getting all of that stuff. So, and I don't know if I should say this, Prof. Duff and I have been privy to a book about Prince's 90s productivity. And I hope that book, with some edits and stuff, comes out, because I really do think that people need to understand that Prince was really prolific in the 90s.
Yeah.
And it really needs to be shown. So yeah, I'll shut up on that.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So let's get back to it. This is a quote from Eric Leeds, and this is the reason why I stopped. He said, "We recorded a lot in 86." They recorded a lot in 86. That was probably the most prolific, at least the amount of time that I was in the studio with him. I started out in January of 86, spending 6 weeks with him in Sunset Sound in LA. We were in the studio doing all kinds of things, most of which never saw the light of day. a lot of which were instrumental jam sessions. And I love the instrumental jam sessions. So I hope that they do see, I hope all of them see the light of day. Okay. I am going to skip the first paragraph and go to Prince continued to experiment with this jazz rock blend and decided to extend and expand the Flesh sessions, adding Wendy, her brother Jonathan Melvoin, and Lisa to the sessions. I never knew that it was a project specifically because Wendy and I were in the studio all the time and playing, and some of it was jamming and some of it was getting down to work and doing chores and background vocals and things like that, remembers Lisa. It wasn't until years later that I realized what it was called. What? I didn't even know. At approximately 9:45 p.m., Prince placed everyone in the main room of Studio 3 and arranged it so that they could add to the creation of the music. Details Eric. Prince would have a talkback mic that was fit into all of our headphones. So he would be giving us direction to that. This is actually really important. I'm going to read that one more time. Prince would have a talkback mic that was fit into all of our headphones. So he, Prince, would be giving us direction to that. And occasionally you can hear some of these directions that went to tape, but most of the time we would just hear him in our headphones. Like on Junk Music, he sat behind the drums and he just said, okay, we're in this key. And then he just hit it and boom, we're into it. That was all. And he didn't give us any direction on that. Any form that any of it had was basically just constructed by, I think, me and Wendy and Lisa as we were going along. And it was one of the few times where Prince was actually listening to what else was going along and actually reacting to it as a drummer. I think this will give you a lot more context as you re-listen to like the Flesh sessions. And if you keep that in mind, the group came up with multiple freeform songs as a unit and also revisited a song Prince and Leeds recorded months earlier for Jill Jones, For Love, turning it into an instrumental jam, as Eric recalls. We just fell into that. We were just grooving on whatever it was, and then he just started playing on guitar. I don't even know if anyone else knew what it was, but I did. And Leeds continues, the complete chunk music was 67 minutes and 37 seconds and was recorded live to 2-track on 5 reels. Each reel probably had 15 minutes. Coke Johnson was keeping 2 machines going and alternating fresh reels of tape that overlapped as we were recording. On Groove in C minor, the personnel was Sheila on drums, Prince on bass, Wendy on Wendy on guitar, Lisa on piano, myself and Jonathan Melvoin on congas. I need to turn on some light. Hold on. I can't see now. Here we go. That's a lot better. For slow groove in G major, Prince moved to guitar and Wendy moved to bass. Actually switched instruments on the fly about 45 seconds into it. All else the same. Slow groove in G flat minor, groove on For Love in B flat, and groove on For Love in G minor all had the same personnel. And I am going to skip this paragraph from Eric as well as, actually this sentence about Susan Rogers is actually important. Susan Rogers noted how Prince's wide musical knowledge was reflected on the songs he performed with the Flesh. Now I'm skipping the paragraph, and that's why you need to have the book. And this is just like a public service announcement. If you haven't gotten the book, you want to get the book. Because we're not reading the entire book. You got to have something that you can, do on your own. And let's see, Wendy and Lisa took something different from the Flesh sessions. They weren't even sessions, reflects Lisa. I didn't think they were sessions. They were jams. Wendy concurs. I think it was doing a lot of grooming with Eric. I want to say groove today, Celie. That was the era where I felt like, oh, people are going to get replaced. This is when things started smelling weird to me. That was Wendy. And admits Lisa, I hate to say it, but whenever anybody else was playing with us, it just always smelled like an audition. It did have the feeling like there was something else. It was like, what are these, tryouts? Everyone's pulling out their best gym tumbles. Within a year, Wendy, Lisa, and almost the entire revolution would be gone, And Prince would invite Levi Caesar Jr., Eric Leeds, and Sheila E. to join his band. Status. The session included For Love, 27 minutes and 44 seconds combined, Groove in C minor, 8 minutes and 2 seconds, Slow Groove in G minor, 9 minutes and 55 seconds, Slow Groove in G flat minor, 13 minutes and 2 seconds, Junk Music, 1 hour, 3 minutes and 17 seconds, and an edit of Junk Music, 19 minutes and 44 seconds, Up From Below, 5 minutes and 7 seconds, and Y'all Want Some More, 1 minute and 33 seconds were part of the full Junk Music. All of these tracks remain unreleased during Prince's lifetime, although parts of Junk Music briefly appeared in Under the Cherry Moon. All right, Celie. Let's see. Welcome, Chanel. And let's see. What's Duane Tudahl's website? I'll look it up for you, Mira, while Celie is reading our next date, which is Monday, January 6th.
So Monday, January 6th, 1986, Parade album compiled include Christopher Tracy's Parade, New Position, I Wonder You, Under the Cherry Moon, Girls and Boys, Life Can Be So Nice, Finish the Milo, Mountains, Do You Lie, Kiss, Another Level Hole in Your Head, and Sometimes It Snows in April, Sunset Sound, Studio 3, Book, Lockout. Producer Prince, artist Prince, engineers Cope Johnson and Susan Rogers. Once again, Prince put together the Parade album for review. Additional time was probably spent on crossfades and minor edits to create a flow that was logical for the film and both aesthetically and artistically pleasing. I want to go back to something that Wendy, I believe Lisa Wendy said about it. It sounded like auditions. I was going to say something else about, I don't know. I find it interesting, but I don't want to push back on it. Yes, we all know that he was auditioning them, but I also think that there is I would say a competitive feel that funk musicians have, that I would say that funk and jazz musicians have, that maybe pure pop musicians don't have, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I could think that a little bit of that aggression that either Wendy or Lisa was hearing was probably that, but I also think that was also just that general, there's just so for a while, I was in a poetry group we called ourselves the Headhunters, but that came from Muddy Waters. Like Muddy Waters, one of Muddy Waters' original groups around Chicago was called the Headhunters, right? And it was called that because that's what they did. They went around from club to club hunting heads, right? You were headhunting. That's just part of the blues, jazz, funk mentality, right? The whole challenge that goes into like tap dancing. So I don't want to say that Wendy or Lisa, whoever said it, was wrong necessarily, but I also think that also, and I don't think this was the intent, but I think it also kind of either minimizes or belittles kind of what was the tradition of what it was to be a Black musician, if that makes sense.
Oh, it makes a lot of sense.
And I want to say that and not at the same time, and be able to say that, yes, Wendy is also right in that I think we all can agree that Prince was auditioning new folk, but I think that he was also auditioning new folk because the stuff that he wanted to play with, say, Sign of the Times and Love Sex, and then moving into Diamonds and Pearls, was going to take a different kind of musician that was played on, say, Purple Rain and Around the World in a Day Parade Live. That's it. I'll shut up.
Now, I really love this comment from Golan, and I think that is a really important comment because so let me read the comment. So Golan says, I think Prince took funk to another level, in my opinion, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. Now, if you go to Nelson George's YouTube channel, and Nelson George put out a funk documentary. I always can't remember the name of the documentary, but it's a very good documentary. And he had been putting up all of the interviews from that documentary. And if you watch those documentaries, you'll discover that I think for whatever reason, Nelson George does not think that Prince is a funk artist based off of the questions that he was asking these other artists. So my favorite interview that he did with bar none was with D'Angelo, not because he just passed, but when Nelson George asked him like what was his favorite funk album, D'Angelo replied, Parade.
There you go.
And I wish I could have seen Nelson George's face.
I'm sure Nelson George almost passed out. I'm sure he almost passed out.
Yes. So I love this comment. Prince did take funk to another level, because funk is not just one thing. So I just really love this comment. Thank you so much for that. And then I love this comment from El Debarra. That's what live musicianship brings to the table. It's all in the mix for sure. And I'm sure he was. Yeah. I'm sure he was. And I wish I could remember exactly the way that D'Angelo phrased it, because he said something to the effect like, you might be disappointed. I can't remember exactly what he said, something to the effect before he said Parade. And I love this from Kyle Christian, Sophisticated Funk. Yes.
And I also think that as part of those interviews he put up, I think Nile Rodgers, because Nile Rodgers basically forthrightly shut down Nelson George about Prince not being a funk musician. Like Niles was kind of, because everybody else, like you and I could see what Nelson George was doing because we knew the history between Prince and Nelson George. So I would say that there were a lot of artists who didn't know the history between Prince and Nelson George. What's up, brother Ted? So the other artists didn't know the history, and I don't know if Nile Rodgers knew the history between Prince and Nelson George, but I always liked the Nile Rodgers because Nile Rodgers was just like flat, like no. Prince is a genius funk musician. We gonna stop that there, and then Nile basically goes through the whole notion of talking about Prince being a composer who's writing things for other musicians to play, because that's what funk is, right? It's funk is you have to have lots of other people playing. So yeah, but like you, when D'Angelo said that, I wish the camera would have been on Nelson George. Just to see that heart attack that Nelson George almost had.
Yes. Welcome, Ted. How are you today?
I'm good. Can y'all hear me okay?
Oh yeah, you sound great.
Yes,
yeah, look, I'm sorry I'm late, so I'm sitting in the back of the class. I done snuck in. I'm just watching and listening, getting this good knowledge. You know what I'm saying?
So, so we were talking, because Godwin put this in the chat, that Prince took funk to another level. And whenever I hear the words Prince and funk, I always think of Nelson George, because he always like minimized, Prince as a funk artist. And we were just talking about with the all of the raw interviews that Nelson George has posted on his YouTube channel, which I am grateful for, Nelson George. If anybody shows it, I'm grateful for those interviews, Nelson George. The one with D'Angelo, when Nelson George asks him, what is the funkiest album ever? D'Angelo responds, Parade. And I just think that was so brilliant. And Celia and I was just saying that it would have been like priceless to see the look on Nelson George's face. So I'm curious I know that you know that Prince is a funk artist, but what say you to the people who say that Prince is not a funk artist?
See, I think that funk exists on different planes, right? And let's say you take the funk out of New Orleans, it's swampy, it's laid back, it's loose. But then you go to, say, Oakland, let's take Tower of Power, and that funk is very straight ahead, almost rigid. You can hear the rough edges in the horns, right? I think Prince put a posh and a polish on funk. I don't know if that's the right word. He put a new spin on funk, but it's definitely funk music, but it's not always dirty. What we think about dirty and gritty all the time. It's another level of sophistication on the funk, but It's
Right.
funk.
It's
Right.
funk. Yeah.
I like.
I don't know. I thought Nelson George. Listen, all respect to Nelson George. I always used to say, man, the brother knows everything, but Prince ain't funky. Never.
So let me. So yeah. So a couple of things because I want to. I'm glad you went there, brother, because I want. So Boombox Guru says that Nelson George was always a Prince hater, and so I would say this, Boombox Guru. I know it feels like that. I know for many Prince fans, it feels like that. But as somebody who I spent my teenage years in the '80s reading like Greg Tate and Nelson George, and you have to understand how important they were all in the Village Voice and a lot of other things. Here's what I will say. Something happened for Nelson George. So I think that for Nelson George, and I would say even Toure to a greater degree, I think that they felt like they had to draw a line in the sand in 86, 87 and be all in for hip hop, which meant bashing. Because if you look at when Nelson George begins bashing Prince and Toure comes along a little later, but if you look at specifically when Nelson George starts bashing Prince, it's right around that 86 era, right around 86. And Nelson is also becoming one of the champions for hip hop. And so Nelson George begins to bash Prince in a way that Greg Tate becomes more critical of Prince, but he doesn't out and out bash Nelson. He doesn't outright bash Prince like Nelson George. So I would say that around 86, somewhere around 86, is where Nelson George kind of goes all in on for whatever reason. And it could have been aesthetic. It could have been Nelson George was really feeling the hip hop thing. It could have been something personal. We all know that Bob George is partly aimed at Nelson George. We all know that the Love Sexy tour book, if you read the Love Sexy tour book that I quote in my book, Prince is definitely firing back at Nelson George. But so whatever happened, Nelson George would have to be the one who would say what was it that at that moment made Nelson George get on the Prince ain't funky boat. But I just want to say that it wasn't always, but yeah, Nelson George does make a sharp turn. That's it. I'll shut up.
Well, listen, if I could jump in here real quick, I agree with the things you're saying, Celie, but like I disagree with Prince on. I understand that in his interviews he was, often tongue in cheek, and that interview where he says, "If you can explain it, it ain't funky."
Right.
I personally believe that music, you can tell people you can figure out how the sausage is made. You know what I'm saying? So I think to even get into this what is funky and what is not, then we have to bring funk into more concrete terms. Like when people talk about the one, right? Mm-hmm. That's a conversation that gets very esoteric very quick.
Mm-hmm.
And all that's fair, right? All that's fair, cosmic, whatever. But when we're talking about the one, I could really intellectualize that and say, well, this is, the downbeat of a measure. You got a two measure phrase. We hitting hard on beat number one of that phrase, whatever. I could, theorize it in that way.
Right.
But for the so-called layman, right? I don't mean to insult anybody, but who, some of us just say, man, that's funky. I don't know why it's funky, but it's funky. But if we look at, well, what are the characteristics of funk? There's a certain tempo range. Okay, cool. There's syncopation, right? Mm-hmm. What is the chord quality and the chord color in this? What's the difference between how, let's say, I was just having this conversation the other day, how Niles Rodgers approached rhythm guitar and Prince or Jesse? Can you compare and contrast those three guitar players, right? And if any of those things fit into the definite, if any of what Prince did fits into any one of those boxes, then by definition is funk. Respect Mr. George, but Mr. George home.
and I agree. I also added, y'all just made me think about it. So, brother Ted, I don't know if you was here. Was 2 or 3 weeks ago? I was told my grandson got a record player for Christmas. So all of my Prince albums, all my albums that I had from the age of 10 until I stopped buying albums around 91, 92. Like I just, so I gave them all to him. So he has my whole album collection. And I think Prof. Duff, you'll be happy to know. My wife asked him, well, have you been enjoying your albums? And I like to, I like to give kids stuff and let them kind of make their own way. I don't like to hover over them. But the report I got back was, since Joshua was a big fan of the song Kiss, of all the albums, the first one he played was Parade.
Yes.
And so the first Prince album, so his first Prince album, just the wax, he sat and he played that. And so when I found that out, I asked him, I said, well, what did you think? And, my son plays trumpet and mellophone. He plays mellophone. My grandson, plays mellophone in marching band and then plays trumpet in symphonic band. And he said that he had to play Parade. He said he played it twice because he automatically picked up his trumpet and started playing along to it the second time. So wow. I didn't want to, I don't like to, I like to let young people kind of find their own way. But now I got this image of my grandson in his bedroom with his trumpet playing along to Parade. That's it. I'll shut up.
Man, Parade is, D'Angelo, Parade is a special album to you, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Oh, I got to show y'all something too.
Oh, that's cool.
Nice. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah, man. I think I love, my mother caught me. There's a listen, I don't like when people shame their kids for views online, but there's a reel that this woman walks in and she catches her son like dancing and stuff, and it became, went viral or whatever. But one day I'm in the house and I got on my little cheap trench coat and I'm getting off on Christopher Tracy's Parade. And my mama came home with Popeyes. And I'm saying the Popeyes because she was going in on a wing and the wing fell out. And usually she would come home when the music was all loud. She's like, "Boy, turn that down." But this day I went and I scratched the record. I turned it down and she was like, she started laughing. Then that dropped the chicken and she was like, "No, do that again. Do that again. Let me see what that was." Nah. So Parade is special for me as well.
Yeah. So actually, I'm going to give you a homework assignment.
Who, me?
Yes, Ted. I would love to have a video of you comparing Prince versus Nile Rodgers versus Jesse Johnson's style of guitar playing.
Let's go.
Incredible.
Let's go with the content. See, a guitar player was asking me, oh man, okay, look, I ain't gonna ramble on, but listen, I was at a gig the other day and the singer was great, but I was like, man, y'all got to retire some of these songs and y'all got to get into the book, right? Y'all got to get into the Black American Songbook. You got to get into it. So one of the things that I always taught my students, especially now, just follow me here, especially my female students, was you got to know music and you have to understand, because people are gonna size you. You just got to know, right? And the example one of the examples I was given is like, what do I like in a guitar player? I want a cat that if I ask for Prince, you're gonna give me Prince. If I ask for Jesse, you gonna know the difference. You're gonna know the difference and the reason. I'll get into. I'll shut up.
Yeah,
you gotta go rambling. Too much coffee.
But no, we gotta have that video, Ted. I mean, I personally would love to hear that.
I gotta do it. And you know who? I wonder. There's a guitar player. If y'all don't know who she is, Ella Feingold on Instagram. Ella Feingold. She greasy. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. She just played on the she just did a track for Shaka. She greasy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will check Ella out.
Yep.
Well, I want to go back to another comment it's from TP. That was way back, but I saved it because I think this is important. I think to put Nelson George into context. I'm sure that, like I call certain people like the jazz police. I think Nelson George is the funk police. And I think that his definition of funk, because he's older, and he probably think it, and also there's a whole other conversation and argument about, like, is James Brown funk or is he funky? Like that's I've heard some conversations about that. I personally think that James Brown is the foundation of funk. Like, you cannot have funk without James Brown, but I don't know who, or if I read it somewhere, but there's like this like argument about James Brown as funk versus funky. But I do think that Nelson George, probably because of when he grew up, the artists that he was listening to, has a different perspective compared to someone like me, who is a child of Prince. Like, I literally grew up listening. He was my James Brown. Whereas I'm sure for Nelson George, James Brown was James Brown, for him. Right. And I just want everyone to know that I'm not, I have a lot of respect for Nelson George, but I do find it very odd that he doesn't consider, based on what I can read between the lines, again, go watch all the videos on his YouTube channel, that he does not perceive Prince as funky. So I don't.
What does he perceive him as? That's the part I missed. What does he perceive him as?
You have to go watch those videos. Celie, can you?
Yeah, I think that, and I've read a lot. I want to be clear. I've read a lot of Nelson George. I think Nelson George was a seminal writer for me growing up. Right, sure. Someone who was, I'm a poet and short story writer, but also somebody who wanted to write about music.
Sure.
Nelson George was seminal. I want people to understand. Nelson George, Greg Tate, they were in that sweet spot for me. I have to also say Amir Baraka's book, Blues People. Anybody in the chat, if you've never read Blues People by Leroy Jones / Amir Baraka, for me, Blues People is one of the greatest books on music. There are a couple of others out there. But anyway, so I want to say that. So I think with Nelson George, kind of to your point, Prof. Duff, saw Prince as funky, but not a funk artist. And he also went through a phase where he saw Prince as just go back and read those reviews. I think Nelson George saw Prince kind of as a sellout. So where Bootsy Collins would say, Prince, these are Bootsy words. Bootsy said Prince legalized the funk, right? Kind of playing off of. So when I heard Brother Ted say that, it made me think about Bootsy's point of Prince legalized. Well, I think that where Bootsy saw Prince legalizing the funk, Nelson George saw Prince as whitewashing the funk and making funk palatable to people who couldn't take straight funk. And so I think that for Nelson George, and then you have to also understand Nelson George is also one of those early people leaning into hip hop and leaning into and wanting to have these discussions about what is real Black music and what is real Black culture. And so I think a lot of it is the music and the culture and all of those things.
You
so
know,
I'll set up.
I can. So you said something a second ago that Prince was funky, but not funk. I don't take umbrage with that because it's hard to put Prince in one box, right? I mean, there's definitely, I'm always drawn back to this picture of Prince in the neighborhood standing. He's got his baseball tee on, and I'm like, this is just a brother from the hood that's standing right here. But also, they're listening. He's listening and being influenced. I listened to Dorothy Parker one night, and it influenced me to go listen to. I fell asleep listening to Joni Mitchell. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because I wanted to go back and see what are these particular influences. So I think Prince is, somebody just said, unboxable, but he's definitely. I would agree with that. It would be hard to say that Prince is just funk. He's definitely funky, but he's also a rocker. He's also a balladeer. You know what I mean? He's also a symphonic composer. Mm-hmm. So he's all this thing. I think Prince is one of those. He's the artist that let me show you better than I could tell you. You notice how many people didn't jump on the bandwagon until way later, until way after. I'm gonna say this one thing, and I'm gonna get off this because I'm talking too much. The While My Guitar Gently Weeps guitar solo. I was thinking about this the other day. I said, this is not by far not his best solo, not by a long shot,
Right?
but it's the moment, it's the swag, it's 2004 feeling like 1984 all over again. Prince is like back on top, and people are starting to recognize at this time, this man is you understand what I'm saying? So I think it, forget the naysayers and the haters or whatever, but I would, it's hard to put him in one box. I'll shut up.
Right.
All right. So Ted, do you have a book?
I do. Where we at, teacher? Yeah, I used to tell my students sometimes, I say, everybody's a gangster till you got to make them read a paragraph.
There you go.
Do you have the paperback? Okay, so page 276, Tuesday, January 7th. And you can skip the Tony Christian.
You said 276?
Yeah. Tuesday.
Oh, it's either like school or church.
Turn the chapter.
Brother Ted, won't you read it? I said, huh?
Hebrews chapter 4, verses 5 and 6.
This is me stalling. Everybody got an angle till you ask them to read out loud, huh? You're funny, huh, guy? Excuse me. I ain't got my readers on now. Y'all see this gray. So if I'm doing like this.
You don't have your magnifying glass like C. Lee.
Listen. Seeley older than me. He got it right there like an escape hatch.
That's right.
Wow. Gen Xers in here. Okay. Here I am. Even before Prince.
Oh no, you gotta start with the list, the gray box, and then skip the quote.
Okay, thanks. All right. Can I play with you? Safety copy made. Probable mix. Evolsidog, God is love. Mix and overdubs. Same song, instrumental mix. Mia Bocca, love that tune. Mix and overdubs. Rough, listed as too rough. Mix and overdub. Sunset Sound 1, 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Sunset Sound 3, 10:30 a.m. to 3 a.m. Wow. Producer Prince, artist Prince, engineers Steven Sheldon, Studio 1. Y'all see me? Coach Johnson, Studio 3. I'm like this, boy. Okay.
You can skip the quote and then read the first paragraph and then skip the second paragraph.
Yes, ma'am. Even before Prince finished Under the Cherry Moon, he was imagining his next movie, tentatively called The Dawn. A treatment for the film, or possibly Broadway play, was being prepared that would be a battle between Maserati and the Family. Maserati won that. But with the Family no longer a band, there was confusion about what to do. We're skipping the Maserati part?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And where we're going to?
What with this in mind?
Okay, cool. With this in mind, he apparently worked on music that he was considering for his film projects. The instrumental of Mia Bocca, credited as Mia Bocca, was in the Under the Cherry Moon movie, but it is unclear if Evolsidog made it into any cuts. The instrumentals were also created as he was likely planning to have Jill or Sheila record them for their projects. The extended session started at 10:30 in the morning and lasted until midnight, with Prince mixing and overdubbing Mia Bocca and Evolsidog until 8 a.m. After a 2-hour break, Eric was brought in. I think Too Rough was the only one that I played on. It was pretty convoluted. It was a pretty convoluted horn arrangement that I did on it, and that was going to take a while. So he left and then came back when it was done. I figured out over a long period of time, if he was just leaving some stuff for me to do on my own, It was stuff that wasn't that important. While Prince was out, he requested a safety copy made of Can I Play With You? Can I Play With You? In Studio One, likely so he could edit the track. The final hour was spent creating rough mixes of the tracks, including the instrumental versions and where I'm at, and dubbing them to TDK C60 tapes and on one C90 before the session ended at 5 p.m.
3 p.m.
Listen. I told you I couldn't see.
It's okay. You're doing great. You're almost there.
The wise guy. Along the way, Prince would often make multiple copies of mixes to test them out. Any song could have a variety of mixes that feature different instruments or moods. What you have to understand is that the transition from a recording state to a mix state had to be instantaneous. Recall Sunset Sound engineer Stephen Sheldon, who'd worked with Prince multiple times.
All right, we'll end it there.
Praise God, because that paragraph is small.
Yes, that's
Let the church say amen.
Amen. Steely, were you about to say something, or did you say amen?
I said amen.
Okay.
The ushers are walking around. The ushers are walking around with the plate.
Yes. All right, Celie, are you ready for Wednesday, January 8th?
Quick question.
Yep.
Other than that very small snippet of Evolsidog, is that all we ever got of it? I know it's a live one out there too, and I think that's all we got, right?
That's all I know of.
Okay. Yeah.
Anybody know anything different?
Yeah. So that's one of those ones that, man, hopefully if that's in the vault somewhere, we can get the whole thing up. All right. Yeah. Wednesday, January 8th.
One second. So I love this quote from another Gollin quote. He's like on fire today. This is actually another really important quote.
Yep.
Prince was funky. That's why Detroit loved Prince.
And in fact, if we keeping it a buck and being honest, Detroit played Prince before Minneapolis played Prince.
Yeah. Yes, they did.
Yeah. So which is why the Purple Rain tour opened in Detroit, because that was his way of giving back to Detroit. And of course, you know, the Electrifying Mojo, props to Electrifying Mojo. To you guys, if you've never heard that interview, that bootleg interview with Prince and Electrifying Mojo, which the next day when he comes back and gives him Evolsidog, and we were all like, what the hell was that? Right, when we had that bootleg people walking around. But so I'm glad you put that in the chat that Detroit was on top of Prince we'll just say Detroit radio was playing Prince before even Minneapolis was playing Prince. Yeah, I'm glad you put that up. All right, we ready? Wednesday, January 8th, 1986.
Yep, you got it.
Everybody's Jam listed as Everybody Jam, mix and overdubs. Rough listed as Too Rough, mix and overdubs. A Couple Miles, probable mix. Sunset Sound, Studio 3, 3:30 p.m. to 2:30 a.m. Good Lord. Booked, lockout. Producer Prince, artist Prince, engineer Coke Johnson. Let me start with the Eric Lee's quote.
Of course, always read Eric.
A couple of miles he left for me. He just said, here is the track, double the melody, and whatever else you want to do with it, do it. I'm going to dinner. I'll come back later, in the quote. Prince had a new weapon in his arsenal.
Just really quickly, Celie, I personally think, so like, I don't know if Eric is contradicting himself or maybe I'm making him contradict himself, but I think that if Prince leaves you in the studio by yourself with his music, that is the highest compliment that you could receive as a musician. That's just me.
I would 100% agree with that.
What do you think is the contradiction?
Well, he said in the previous past session that Ted just read that if he was left in the studio, then that means that wasn't important.
Right. No, I'm with you.
We know that to not be true because Madhouse wouldn't exist without Eric, and I'm sure Prince was not in the studio with him, 100% of the time for that project.
No, that's a good catch. You're right. I think that is him saying, I believe in what you're doing, and I want to, I'm with you. And that unfortunately, a lot of good stuff just doesn't come out. Like you just can't And I think a lot of times people, I get it, you put all this work and time into stuff, and it doesn't come out. I mean, Prince and I did a whole chapter together, and it's buried somewhere in Paisley Park. We wrote a whole chapter and a whole table of contents, and it didn't come out. And I'm not going to sit here and say it didn't mean anything. It meant something when he was doing it, and then it just didn't come out. So I'm with you. Yeah. Eric, that showed that he trusted you. I'm glad you pointed that out. All right. Prince had a new weapon in his arsenal, and he appeared. And wait a minute. Let me stop tripping. Let me stop.
I am not alone.
Prince had a new weapon in his arsenal, and he appeared to want to push limits on what Eric could do with his own music as well as with the Flesh sessions. Quote, Prince threw the whole thing in my lap and said, why don't you take all of the stuff that we did with Wendy and Lisa and make me an album, end quote. That's the end of Quincy's quote. Eric's still talking. Quote, the fact that here we are in Sunset Sound Studios and he's given me the opportunity to have a major world-class facility at my beck and call and to be able to just spend a couple of nights and screw around with this music was a wonderful compliment and opportunity for him to give me just to mess around because he was interested, end quote. The first 6 hours were spent mixing and possibly overdubbing Rough and a couple of miles, which was being considered for the Fresh project with Prince. But once he left, Eric and Coke Johnson sat down to create a project from the random recordings as Leeds recalls.
Okay, so I don't want to read the paragraph because he says a very controversial statement, and I don't want to get the chat riled up. And so for those of you who are in the chat, that means that you're going to have to read this paragraph on your own.
Hold up.
278.
Hold up. So this is what I get for not paying attention. This is what I get for falling asleep in class.
Page 278. There's a little paragraph. It's actually not a little paragraph. It's a big paragraph quoting Eric Leeds. And he says something in there that I personally don't agree with, but I don't want to get into it.
Don't be like that.
Okay, Celie, read the paragraph.
Besides, this is old man Eric Leeds at his finest.
Oh, God. Here we go.
What I like about those sessions is that it was probably my favorite playing of anything that I've done on any of the stuff I ever did with Prince. Not just because they were instrumental jams, and this is what I do, you know. Wendy and Lisa, they have a harmonic vocabulary that was so much more sophisticated than Prince's and anyone else. So that's what I related to. So I actually had something to play off of that was much more interesting for me as a player. Because even though we were basically just jamming, they were taking things in different keys and all different voicings. And Lisa has the harmonic sense that's really, really cool. So she could really give me some really hip shit to play off of. That's why I enjoyed playing with them. 3 C60 cadets were created, one of which Prince could review to see how the project was progressing. I will just say before the gates and everything open, hey man, I have come to just deal with old bitter Eric, not bitter, old man Eric, because I don't was bitter, but like old man, look, here's what I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna leave it like this. It goes back to kind of something we said. Yeah, thank you, Zakia, grumpy Eric. Here's what people need to understand. I need people to understand this. It ain't about agreeing with Eric. For Eric, James Brown and Miles Davis hang the moon. If you understand that for Eric Leeds, James Brown and Miles Davis hangs the moon, you will then understand a lot of what Eric says about playing with Prince. And I just take it as I love grumpy old man Eric when he's in grumpy old man Eric form. That's it. Y'all had a flow.
Mr. George, listen. Now I'm gonna say something here. I wanna make sure I understood what's going on. Now, y'all understand that I'm speaking from a musician's point of view. And when I say musician's point of view, in bands that I have formed, I have hired cats that do different stuff than me, right? They gonna bring a little something different. And that I think is the coach role, putting people in certain positions. Let's talk about bass players for a second. And I did a video on Prince's bass players, but check this out. Andre and Brown Mark, you have this funk. I can't say what I want to say, but they played like brothers. You know what I mean? By the time you get Rhonda in there, Rhonda is bringing some different kind of jazz sensibilities to her playing. So I don't think that this is an insult towards Prince at all. I think that okay, I'm just trying to, because I don't want Prof Duff to come to my house.
I'm not at your house.
So with Lisa and Wendy, like when I was talking to somebody about, I said, if I looked at the Revolution and I said, who were the quote unquote literate musicians in that band that could write it down, and you know what I mean, and all that stuff, I think it would have been Matt, Wendy, and Lisa. And I think Prince, Dez, Mark, and Bobby were those rough and tumble kids that could just kind of do it. So you're just having these different parts of the spectrum. If I sit down and I play keys, I'm gonna play very rudimentary things, triads. It's gonna sound like somebody who is playing within his bag. That ain't a bad bag. It's just my bag. But when I get my man Gentleman Sharp to play on there, he's going to bring a different set of experiences, which is going to give new colors, new life, and it's going to make it. He's going to, when I solo behind him playing, I'm like, oh, now I'm inspired to do something different because he's done something that I hadn't thought of. It doesn't make it better or worse. It's just his voice. That makes sense?
Oh, it makes a lot of sense. So a couple things. One thing I want to say before I forget, actually a couple things. I have your bass player video in the accompanying playlist for this episode already, even without you being here. Because I watched it this morning for Ricky, because one of Ricky's, if not Ricky's favorite bass player was Rhonda. And me and Ricky used to get into it because my favorite bass player, and even the bass player would probably say that I was wrong, is Levi. Because Levi doesn't really consider himself a bass player.
Sure don't.
I love me some Levi on bass.
I just have to say, in terms of Levi, all right, that's it. Go ahead. What you think? Go on, keep going.
And so Ted, I have to tell you this story, and I'm so embarrassed. So I spoke on the stage with the new power generation behind me. Levi was on stage and Sonny was on stage, and because I forgot Sonny was on stage, I said Levi was my favorite. And as soon as I said it, I was like, oh my God. I was like, what did I do? So after I got off stage and after they got off the stage, I made a point to go to Sonny and say, I'm so sorry.
Well, you want to be embarrassed. Let them talk about embarrassment. My one and only wife, I think part of the attraction was she kind of looked like Rhonda Smith. And she played bass a little bit. You know what I mean? She played bass a little bit. But I think over time, look at the evolution when the sound starts to get more quote unquote refined, suited and booted, right? Mm-hmm. When you get, Rainbow Children, all that. You got folks, Rhonda's the first person to bring upright into the upright and fretless into the mix. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I just love that these markers in time and how I can tell what was going on in my life by what Prince album was out at the time.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? But listen, y'all, I gotta run, but I love y'all.
Thank you for coming.
Man, rest in peace, Pretty Ricky. Listen,
Yes.
I'm gonna pop in any chance I get, but I gotta get on. I gotta spend some QT and then get on the road to go play this gig. But I
We
appreciate y'all.
you, Spike.
Yeah.
So much.
I see
Always
y'all
good to
sooner
see
than
you,
later.
brother.
All right, peace.
All right.
And I would just add, I know I say this a lot, that's why for me, rather than having a favorite band or a favorite band of Prince's or a favorite musician, for me, the genius of Prince was that he was always able to find the people to effectively and accurately articulate the sound that was in his head, right? That the revolution is not the band with no name. The band with no name is not the New Power Generation. And then all of the different increments of the New Power Generation. And so I think that's one of the things that I think that I would love somebody to write a book on is Prince as band leader, and how Prince as band leader he was always able, right? Whether he was auditioning people, right? Look at the way he auditioned Dez, or the way, the other people got auditioned, and it was like he knew what he knew. He always knew for what he was looking. And I would love for someone to get into the weeds to talk about how Prince was able to choose the band that got him what he wanted. Because I think that I think would put him in that kind of Miles. Miles, I don't think that people talk about Prince having phases in the way we talk about like the Miles Davis phase or any of the great jazz players' phases. And I think Miles respected Prince having a phase. Like, that's what I think Miles loved most about Prince, was that Prince had phases. And I would love for somebody to get into discussing Prince as band leader. And then it will get into those rehearsals that you guys love so much, and Prince calling out cues and walking people through those cues like that. That's it. I'll shut up.
I love this comment from Baby Love. I actually listened to the entire debut of Wendy and Lisa last week. It's one of my favorite albums of all time. I think it's one of the strongest debut albums of anybody. And what I love about that album is Wendy's bass playing, not Wendy's guitar playing, but Wendy's bass playing. And Wendy's guitar playing on that album is extraordinary, but her bass playing is as well. And Wendy doesn't get enough love for her bass playing.
So let me ask you a question, which may bust my bubble. From the second album, is that Wendy playing bass on "Are You My Baby"?
I would assume so, but I haven't listened to that in so long.
Okay.
That's my least favorite, right, for the first three. Like, right, for me, it's like Wendy and Lisa, Eroica, and then Fruit at the Bottom. Okay. And so I rarely listen to Fruit at the Bottom.
Yeah, and that's I'm the opposite. I love Fruit at the Bottom is in my heavy rotation. But when you said bass, I didn't think about that.
I'm not a betting woman. I don't bet, Celie, but if I had to, I would probably think it's Wendy, because she did all of it on the first album.
First album.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Well,
so that's just another testament of a great skill.
Yeah, sexy. Gowan is on fire today. Everybody and their mama should know. I love me the Love Sexy band. A band with no name. That's my band. So yes. All right. Ooh, the kids out. It is funky.
I mean, look, the first time I heard that was one of those first, that song, whatever it is, the first time you heard it on the radio, you just look at the radio, like you go like, and I feel bad that kids are not gonna get that experience anymore. But that one when you hear it, like, hey, what the hell? What is the first time I heard "Are You My Baby" on the radio? I was like, and it was crazy because, coming to your point, I didn't get into their first album, but I knew that was them. Like before, like, so I don't, because as you said, Fruit at the Bottom is so different from their first album.
Oh yeah,
I knew that was Wendy. Like from the first time I heard it, I was like, damn, Wendy Lisa and jumped back with a badass cut. That was my first response to that. So yeah, shout out to hearing that on the radio. All right, I said it.
Yep. And then I just want to, for Sakia, we actually talked about Stranger Things last episode for almost 40 minutes, if not longer than that. So you might want to, if you go back to episode 1 of just the last one we did, we talk a lot about that.
I'll just say that I was the one, Sister Zakia, I was the one who conceded that it's a good thing simply because it'll bring more people into Prince. Because I'm not a Stranger Things person, so I've never seen the show because I don't like scary stuff. But I conceded that it's good that it blew up the internet, if I'm not mistaken, and blew up the TikTok and all of that, and it put those songs back into the charts. All right, I'll shut up.
And to answer, where is it, JD? So, yeah, Jesse is actually on Fruit at the Bottom on Satisfaction, on the song Satisfaction.
Leave him there. Yes, brother JD. And because of that, if I ever meet Jesse and ever meet Wendy, one of them two in person, they owe me a guitar solo for that damn song. It is queued up when Wendy says, "How about it, Jesse?" That is where the damn solo is supposed to be.
That's right.
Wendy, I'm putting it out in the ether. Wendy Melbourne, Jesse Johnson, y'all owe me a guitar solo for Satisfaction. I want my damn guitar solo. I want it. I'm going to show up at both of y'all house. I'm going to follow y'all around. Wendy said, "How about it, Jesse?" Damn right. How about it, Jesse? Where's my solo? All right, I'll say.
Oh my God. So I said, Nikki says, whoever Prince chose to make music with at any given time is always fine by me. I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. And yes, JD, that's pretty funny. But now that you mention it, C. Lee, I always wanted that. So I wanted it too. I was like, what happened?
It's queued up right there. I believe it's one there. Because she said, "How about it, Jesse?" Like,
yes. All right, so let's get on with our reading, and we are going to go to Thursday, January 9th, 1986, Junk Music Edits Up From Below Edits, multiple cues for Under the Cherry Moon score, tracking mix, Sunset Sound Studio 3, 7 p.m. to 11 p.m., not that long, booked, locked out, producer Prince, artist Prince, engineer Coke Johnson, not that long in Prince hours, but it's pretty long. All right, this is a quote from Claire Fisher. We got to do this. So Prince either uses or doesn't use what I have. When he gets it, I understand he listens to the strings separately. He'll listen to the brass separately and the woodwind separately, and then he'll put it all together and listen to it. So when we got to his movie, Cherry Moon, most of the music that was what you might refer to as an underscore, love that, was the backgrounds that I had written for certain songs of his that he took the voices and his part out. Now, I would have preferred to write the individual sections, but on the other hand, it worked out just fine. Now, this is like, you could write a whole book on this alone, because this is really interesting that, and if you know your Prince, you know that he would take string arrangements that Claire would do for one song and put it on another song. He did that all the time. And what I appreciate about Claire is, even though he said that, you know, he would have preferred to have written the individual sections, he was just fine with Prince doing what he did. But what was a revelation the first time I read this was knowing that Prince actually listened to, you know, the brass and the woodwinds and everything separately is really interesting to think about before listening to it all together. So, all right. Prince book ended the session with a total of 13 and a half hours working on the score for Under the Cherry Moon. So maybe this is like longer than I think it is. Maybe this is like 7 p.m. on one day over, but it seems like doing what, I don't know. So, okay, Prince book ended the session with a total of 13 and a half hours working on the score for Under the Cherry Moon, which included locating items in his archive that he felt could be placed in many of the scenes, some of which included various Claire Fisher orchestral work, including string selections from I Wonder You, Life Can Be So Nice, in the title track. He also recorded new music when needed. Most of this new material was created using the Yamaha DX7, as well as Eric on flute and sax. I love the Yamaha DX7. In between those takes, he and Lead spent 4 hours reviewing some of the new music they recorded as The Flesh, Junk Music, and another track or two were edited for the potential Flesh album and probably as elements for the score. I am going to skip the next paragraph and go to I'm going to skip the next one. One C90 cassette was made at the end of the shift. All right.
So would Flesh have technically been the first Madhouse?
Well, so what I thought was really interesting is when Duane was with us last week, he said that he wouldn't put the Flesh sessions on a Madhouse box set.
Right.
I personally would put the Flesh sessions on a Madhouse box set. So I think it's really interesting that this was even a possibility. And I have a strange feeling, this is just me because nobody knows what Prince was thinking, that I think we wouldn't get Madhouse without the Flesh sessions.
Right.
That's me personally.
Right.
So what's your thoughts on that?
I'm with you. And then this gets us into the weeds. And this is not, I want to be clear. So let me say two things, which I'm going to sound like I contradict myself. I love the Sign of the Times box set, even though I think it's very flawed. And I know that sounds crazy. How do I love something I think is flawed?
Yes.
I would put the Flesh sessions on a Parade box set, as well as take some of the stuff off of the Sign of the Times and put it on the Parade box set.
Yeah.
Because I think the one fatal flaw of the Sign of the Times box set, I'm not saying that the estate was trying to do this, the box set makes Sign of the Times look like the carcass of the revolution.
Yep.
As great as it is, right? I want to be clear, I love the Sign of the Times box set. I'm glad we got some, and because for me and people like you and people in the chat, I can distinguish. Like, I know that this is not Sign of the Times stuff, this is Parade stuff. So I can then take it and reconfigure it in my own playlist. But I'm like you, that I would put the Flesh stuff on the Parade box set, along with some of the stuff that's on Sign of the Times. But I will say this, I wouldn't be mad if in the Madhouse liner notes, like if they did a box set for Madhouse liner notes, that the Flesh sessions are mentioned. That they said, hey, if whoever was doing the liner notes, whoever got charged, hey, you're gonna do. So if they say Prop Duff, we want you to do the Madhouse box set. I wouldn't be mad that in your liner notes you would say, oh, by the way, because I know for you, you would not only say, oh, by the way, the Flesh, you would say, oh, by the way,
the family.
There we go back to the family.
Yes.
Because if we're really talking about drawing the linear, I am with you with, I think that even the seeds of Madhouse begin with the family sessions.
Yes.
Come into the Flesh sessions.
Yes.
And then become full blossom. So I think that in your liner notes, I think that you would do that in your liner notes for Madhouse and would draw that lineage all the way back to the family. I'll shut up.
So you're with me, you understand. So like for me, I would rather focus on Prince as an instrumentalist for the Madhouse box set. So I actually would include those songs. Like if I could wave my magic wand and I had to, and I was, I could do a Madhouse box set just to show that journey. But like, and another reason, it's because I hope to God that there is a Parade Super Deluxe.
Right.
Who knows? But the thing is, there is so much that could be included on a Parade box set that I want to move some of that stuff off. Like, technically, yes, you can put the Flesh on a Parade box set, but there's so much else that could be put on a Parade box set that I would rather put it on a Madhouse box set in order to have more space on the Parade box set.
Right.
So, like, because like for me, one of the amazing things would be like if we could hear, and I know you can do this with AI now, but like actually having the real stems of all the orchestral arrangements from Claire Fisher just by themselves You know, like one of the things that we don't get anymore that we used to get in the 80s, it was super rare, but you get them sometimes, were like acapella tracks. I
Yes.
loved acapella tracks, you know, on the 12 inches and such.
Embarrassing enough, the two that I gave to my grandson, embarrassing enough, is I had the 12-inch with Keith Sweat's I Want Her that had the acapella dub on there. And I had the acapella of who's Mr. Night and Day. I can tell you what I think about you. I'll be sure.
Yeah.
I'll be sure had an acapella dub of his cover of Hotel California. So just so people know about those acapella dubs that came out in the 80s and early 90s. All right, go ahead, keep talking.
So I'm not going to talk about the Sign of the Times box set. I will say this. So like you, I felt that there were several songs that should have gone on a parade box set.
Mm-hmm.
That's just me personally. And we're not even going to talk about the edits, because if you've been following me, you know I don't understand. Like, right. There's so many songs that could have been put on Sign of the Times if you just get rid of the edits. And everybody, and I know there's some edit purists out there. I don't understand the edit purists. I just don't understand why you need an edit. Okay, so that's it. All right, we'll move on, because who knows what's going to happen this year. All right, so let's do Friday, January 10th, 1986.
All right.
And this is Madrid, part of Paisley Jam, mix and edits. Y'all want some more, probable mix edit, multiple cues for Under Cherry Moon score, tracking mix, Sunset Sound, Studio 3, 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. Producer Prince, artist Prince, engineer Coke Johnson. This is Eric Leeds. There were a couple of times where he said to me, grab your horn and run in really quick and play this scale. And that would take 5 or 10 seconds, something that he might have or might have not ended up on the movie soundtrack. As the editor sent Prince edited sequence, oh, baby, I can't read. As the editor sent Prince edited sequences, Prince continued to score them by himself with the help of Eric on sax or flute. Once the day's process was finished, he asked Eric to continue working on the Flesh album. Additional editing was being done on Madrid and Y'all Want Some More by Eric and Coke. While Prince was indulging this experiment, he apparently wasn't taking it completely seriously, remembers Leeds. He actually called me at the studio one night and he said, I'm going over to Tramps. Come on over and meet me. And I said, Prince, I'm working. And he said, no, you can do it tomorrow. I need somebody to hang with me tonight. And I said, Prince, I'm having fun doing this. He gave me the freaking studio. So this is where I want to be. And Prince said, oh man, come on. You'll do it tomorrow. I said, no, Prince. Sorry, I'm here tonight. You go have a good time. He said, F you, laughs. That's what it was like.
Somebody who actually chose the studio other than Prince, right? That's a great story. The one time Prince doesn't want to choose the studio, Eric is choosing the studio. That's a great story.
Yes.
Now, of course, unfortunately, when I hear Y'all Want Some More, I automatically think about the Atlanta Purple Rain show. Y'all want some more? Are you absolutely sure? Are you absolutely positively? Good God! That probably the Atlanta show might be my favorite Purple Rain show. I'm not sure. And I like the Syracuse show. I'm glad we got the Syracuse show, but there's something about that Atlanta show that is just, and there are a lot of other great shows in there too, but that Atlanta show is just like it was like all things clicking. And it was also, how can I say this? The one thing about the Syracuse show that I hate to, I'm trying to give me another word. You can probably fix it. So the Syracuse show feels a little bit more staged than the Atlanta show.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
Oh yeah, it does.
So that the Atlanta show feels like what more of the Purple Rain shows were, whereas the Syracuse show feels like this is the one I'm going to put out that's going to carry the mystique. And it doesn't mean that it's not great. I want to be clear, because I think the Syracuse show is great, but there's just something about that Atlanta show that is just for me head and shoulders above the other Purple Rain shows. I'll shut up.
And you know, I was at that show, C. Lee.
That's just that adds the cherry onto it.
Oh yeah, even though I was in the nosebleed seats.
It don't matter. Don't matter. Don't matter.
But I was there. Yeah, I so totally agree. Like, I really wish that here goes me. Okay, here's my Dear Estate moment. Let me put up the banner for Ricky. I made a banner. I can find it. Here we go. All right. So, Dear Estate, I'm gonna go full screen. I think it would be really, if you want to double down on Purple Rain, and nobody's mad at that, you could put out a box set of several Purple Rain live shows, like one from the beginning, one from the middle of the tour, one from the end of the tour. There's just, and because I think it's one of the things that I love to do. I don't know about you, C. Lee, and I know you love this too, is comparing different nights of the same tour.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And how the energy shifts depending on what city he's in or what mood he's in. But I watched the Atlanta, I want to say I watched the Atlanta show last year, if not last year, 2 years ago. And I was just blown away by how amazing it was, in my personal opinion, compared to the Syracuse show.
Mm-hmm.
But with the Syracuse show, what's incredible about it is the irresistible beat to possess.
Yes.
That is like on fire, like Mariah. Oh my God.
I tell people, irresistible be possessed. If for people who think that the revolution doesn't get enough love, I would just say submit irresistible be / possess. Just pop that on the table. If you are a revolution stan and you feel like the revolution doesn't get enough love when people are talking about Prince's bands, put irresistible be possessed down, and that'll be your big joker, right? We talk about the big joker and playing spades. That'll be your big joker. And for me, I'm gonna completely mess it up. Along with that, the moment when Prince simply goes, I fell out. I fell out. I ain't gonna lie to you. Look here. I fainted like a 12-year-old girl. I ain't gonna lie to you. I fainted like a 12-year-old. Oh Lord. Oh, somebody come get me. Somebody. Of all of them, again. Now I go back to, I saw How Come You Don't Call Me Anymore live during the 1999 Triple Threat. I have to say that one there in Syracuse, if I'm comparing which of the How Come You Don't Call Me No More performances, that Syracuse one may get the Triple Threat one. Because the Triple Threat got to, when he said, check this body out, baby, give it a full. I mean, that Triple Threat. How come you don't call me no more? But that Syracuse, how come you don't call me no more? Man. So I don't want anybody thinking we sleeping on the Syracuse show. But if I had to choose one over the other, I'm definitely going to take that Atlanta show. Though I love, look, and since I'm here, I mean, because the fact that he played Controversy when doing Take Me With You.
Mm.
I mean, to me, just for the old heads, like, and people don't understand, by the time you get to Purple Rain, we were old heads. That were fans who were basically Prince old heads. So when Prince plays Controversy at the end of Take Me With You, it's just, I'll shut up. We'll get to going on down that rabbit hole. So yeah, it's man. Yeah, and for Brooks and everybody, that's why I come into, for folks in the chat who put stuff in the chat, and we all get to just talk about. The cool thing about it is Prince gave us so much music, we get to argue and debate over what's our favorite. I think that we need to take that more as a luxury. We get to debate over. There you go, Web Diva. You got a man? Is he fine?
That's
And that is the moment when my mama started calling him that little nab booty pervert. That's what my mama called Prince that little nab. What he showing? My mama literally said he ain't even got nothing to show. But you have to understand, my mama was a Mississippi woman. You know, she wanted a big old herb man. All right, let's move on.
So actually, I didn't put this in the slide deck, but I'm going to, for those of you who are in the tri-state area, the Schomburg for Research in Black Culture, they are celebrating their centennial, and they have a series that is celebrating Black film, 100 years of Black film, and they're going to be screening Purple Rain live from Syracuse. And I and Fredara will be doing the talk back after the screening. It's free, and it's going to be on January 27th. It's in Harlem, 5:30 to 8 p.m. It's part of the Black on Screen Century of Radical Visual Culture. So if you're in the area, I would love to see you there. So I'm not nervous because this is my first time speaking at the Schomburg. They invited me alongside Fredara Hatley. And if you know Fredara Hatley, she was, featured in the We Want the Funk documentary. And if you saw that, you'll know how incredible she was. And Fredara has also participated in a couple of symposia. So yes, Dr. Hatley will be there too. So I hope that you'll, be there with me.
Can you do me a favor? Can you send me some information and a link so I can put that in the newsletter?
Sure, yeah, of course.
I definitely want to put that in the newsletter. Yeah, cool.
All right, so we are, I think, if you don't mind reading our final, which is Saturday,
January 11th, 1986. Mobile or Mobile, as you like. Kids, 12-inch version, edits mix, Sunset Sound, Studio 3, 12 noon to 4:30 a.m. Good Lord. He was working it like a job. Shout out to Brother Dean. Booked, locked out. Producer Prince, artist Prince, engineer Coke Johnson. I don't know why I'm tripping. All right. For the extended mixes, we would either cut it down from the long track to a releasable single 3 to 4 minute song, or we would take that 3 or 4 minute song and mix it out different sections to make it a 10-minute extended version for discos. Coke Johnson. Eric and Coke continued to work on the Flex project, focusing on mobile for the first 4 hours. The track was mixed, and then their attention shifted to creating the 12-inch version of Kiss. It's unclear how much progress was done on the longer version of the track because Prince was working on other business outside of the studio during this period. After 6.5 hours of editing, overdubbing, and mixing, the evening's music was dubbed to 2 C60 and 2 C90 cassettes. Once that was complete, the 16-hour session was over. That's an interesting thing because I've always assumed, and you can correct me, I've always assumed that the 12-inch versions were closer to what Prince did, and what we got on the album was edited down. So for me, the Kiss 12-inch was, I'm sure it was touched up when they added sound effects and, and if you touch that dial, I'll kill you, right? All that stuff, right? But I always felt like the 12-inch versions of stuff we got from Prince wasn't stuff that they went in and did, but they cut down to the record. To the album version, if that makes sense. And I may be wrong on that. And I see Brother Dean is in the chat.
Is he? Oh,
yeah,
wow. Oh no. I just
Oh, that's you. Okay.
Yeah, when I reply from StreamYard, it puts it in both.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, because I don't know which platform the person
right.
on. Okay. So I always do that.
Anyway, so I don't know if that makes sense or not.
Yeah, it does. But what I find interesting is that I always thought that all of them were cut down.
Right.
But it does make sense that some of them, that it wouldn't be 100% that were cut down and that they would have to expand some of them. So someone, Eldebar had asked, what's a studio lockout? And LTKK says studio lockout means they prepaid for the whole day's worth of time. They bought the whole day. And Kim did too. Whole studio booked by Prince. No other artists can book the time. Let's see. Yeah, StreamYard. I have no complaints about StreamYard. They are really consistent, even though I won't even go there. All right. Okay. So we have come to the end of our reading, and let's see here. So this week alone, not this week, so far in 1986. So the 2 weeks, we have a total of 10 studio sessions and 6 new songs so far in 1986. So that's what's going on there. These are the 6 songs that have been tracked so far. And I need like a helper this year. I need someone to check my numbers, because sometimes I miss one or it gets out of whack. That happened towards the end of the year. So I'm good usually at the beginning of the year, then life happens, and then H breaks loose, and sometimes I miss something. So please keep me honest. If you see any errors in the slide deck, please let me know. I'm one of those people where I want to know where I'm wrong. I know there's some people who don't like to be wrong, but I'm happy to be wrong. Correct me, because I want this to be right. So thank you so much. Yes, I love this comment from Lee. 6 new songs. I haven't had 6 new thoughts yet this year. Yeah.
And also Melvin Rush, that's a question that I hope Brother Tudahl answers in the next book, because I Wish You Heaven blew my mind. The 12-inch I Wish You Heaven blew my mind the first time I heard it. I mean, I walked around, and I walked around just quoting the 12-inch for I Wish You Heaven for years. That was one of my favorite. It was because it's so different from the record, right? It is almost a completely, I would say, even that and the Glam Slam Escape. I think that those are some. I don't think those 12 inches for Love Sexy really get the that's it. Take this beat. I don't mind. Oh man, I got plenty of others. And by low key, I want to be clear. I have no proof of this, Prof. Duff. I low-key thought Prince was talking about Giorgio when he said that. I low-key was like, now I have no whatever. But if you remember, Giorgio was kind of like right out at that time, kind of getting hot. Giorgio looked like Prince when you saw the Giorgio videos. And I don't even know if Prince knew who Giorgio was. Let me be really.
I was about to say, I
don't even know if he knew who Giorgio was. But the first time I heard, and by clip, I'm a Giorgio fan. I'm a Giorgio fan. Like, I got Giorgio songs on my phone. I got about 12 Giorgio songs.
No, silly.
On my phone. I got like 12 Giorgio songs. I love Giorgio's first 2 albums, but I always thought that he was low-key digging at Giorgio when he said, take this beat. I don't mind. I got plenty of others, and they so fine. Yeah, so anyway, Peter Flaxman, I used to know that song. I don't know why I'm going to draw the blank on it. So yeah, thank you, Melvin Rush. I would love when Brother Tudahl talks about that and the others, because I don't think those 12 inches get enough love, right? The poor Giorgio, right? Yeah. And I'm the one always throwing Giorgio, because I love Giorgio, and everybody else think Giorgio is a joke. I know that. Hey man, I done Giorgio. That's all I'm gonna say. Look at, see, that's wrong, Kim. That's wrong, Kim. That's wrong, Kim. You ain't right now. Don't do that.
All right. So we're getting into the salon part. So I just want to, and I announced this last week, and everyone should know, but it's a lot going on right now, basically. So I haven't started properly promoting this. So I'm only properly promoting it here on What Did Prince Do This Week. I will get to the other socials at some point in time. But we will be celebrating 40 years of Prince's Parade and Under the Cherry Moon. And this is the first hybrid symposium. And what that means is on Friday, April 17th is going to be online, and on 18th and 19th it's going to be in person in Brooklyn at 370 J Street, where we've spent the past 2 symposia, which have been Erotic City 40 as well as Triple Threat 40. So same place, same location. The graphics were created by the incredible Reverend. But I have another slide just so I can, it's clear, because I've already, a couple people have already reached out to me today alone about this. So again, Friday virtual, Saturday, Sunday in person. So to keep abreast of the announcements, I would subscribe to I Wonder You 40, and I have 40 in red, .substack.com, which is different from I Wonder You without a 40, polishedsolid.com. I Wonder You 40 is where the announcements are going to go. It's like and it's also pre-registration, particularly for the virtual day. And we're going to do it like we've always done it, where the virtual link will be released 24 hours beforehand. I will get the in-person registration as soon as I can catch a break, but it's insanely busy right now. So that's what's going on April 17th through 19th. Okay. So the ending time of the symposium on Sunday, it's probably going to be, let me look it up because I'm really bad with times. I
know we're usually done around 4.
No, it's later. We've never ended that early.
Okay.
No, not on Sundays. It's going to be more like, hold on. I'm pulling the schedule up, so I won't tell you something wrong. It's going to be like 7. It's going to end around 7.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. 6. Yes, that's right, Kim. 6 usually. Yeah. So it's going to be 7 this year, if everything goes. And thank you, Kim, for blocking out. I'm so happy to see everybody's blocking out these dates. I don't know if we can get Jerome. So I don't know, because Jerome is busy, especially this year, because it's also like 10 years since Prince's passing as well. So we have to keep that in mind. And I want to remind everyone, and I'm going to take this off, that if you are coming in person, I highly recommend that you get tickets to see Law on Friday, April 17th at the Cutting Room. He's doing a live performance. Law is an incredible musician. If you want to be, like real music by real musicians, you want to come see this Law show. So it would be incredible. So yeah, I'm so sorry, Lee. That's the reason why, I record all of them, so that if you can't, and I'm behind on some things because I'm always on to the next one. But I do my best for people who aren't able to come to be able to see them. All the past symposia are on my YouTube channel. You can always see, I have recorded every single thing that has ever happened. And if something's not up, it's because there's like a copyright issue with music or something. And there are several on my Vimeo channel where there's like a lot of music. So yes, Zakia, the Prince and Christopher Tracy and Tricky, for me, that's the true love story, in On the Cherry Moon.
Handling money and leader draws than me.
Yes.
Got me out here watching the window.
It is such a great movie. I don't understand. I mean, I do kind of understand, but I just don't understand why in real time Prince people, I understand the non-Prince people, but the Prince people, some Prince people didn't get it.
Right.
But it's such a great film.
Right.
I think and the thing is, if you do your Googles, as Michael Dean would say, he had an A-list crew. Like Michael Bauhaus was the cinematography because he's passed, was the cinematography for this German filmmaker Fassbinder, who is like really renowned, in film circles. And he was also, in my personal opinion, the cinematographer for why am I blanking on Martin Scorsese's
Oh, wow.
cinematographer. So, and it's not just Michael Fassbender. If you look at the film credits, it's like an A-list crew that's going on. And this is one of my favorite lines as well.
You scared of bats?
Yes. So, and what's crazy is that that's based off of something that really happened. But I just don't know if and I've said this a gazillion times, but it never fails. Every time I see that film, if you look at where they are in the restaurant, they are deep in the restaurant, but they are the first people that are out of the restaurant.
You want to know why?
Why?
Well, they were doing in the hood what we call low running. They was running like shots was being fired. They understood. See, them other people in the club didn't know about low running. When you low running and you getting low because they shooting over your head, they was low running out the club.
Yes. All right. So we are at the end here. And again, we want to continue to give our love, our thoughts, our prayers to Troy Gua. And if you can, please donate to his GoFundMe. And for those of you who don't know, unfortunately, his cancer has returned. So please keep him in your thoughts. The same with Dr. Funkenberry. His cancer battle continues as well. Please send him love, kind words, and if you can, support his GoFundMe. The same for Addie Durant, who was very pivotal in the fan version of Purple Rain on Clubhouse, which was an incredible and an amazing endeavor. I don't know how in the heck they pulled that off. If you've listened to it, you'll understand that took a lot of work. So please send Eddie any words of kindness. And if you can, support her GoFundMe. And then everyone should know who Des Dickerson is. And Des also has a GoFundMe. And this is the playlist for the week. And there are more songs that's not listed here. And I just want to remind everyone that I put together a playlist for Ricky. And I'm going to see if I can start maybe uploading some of the archives from the Grown Folks Music podcast. We'll see if YouTube will allow me to do that or not, because they had a lot of music clips in it. We'll see. And I'll add that to this list. For those of you who don't know, our dear Ricky passed away at the end of last year. And in fact, his funeral services were this morning. They were actually live streamed, so I was able to watch a little. And if they are archived, I will let you know where you can watch the stream if you are interested in doing so. We give nothing but love and strength and, just peace and comfort to the Wyatt family, his wife, his kids, his parents, his frat brothers, everyone who was touched by his students, because Ricky was a high school teacher and he touched so many lives beyond our lives in the Prince community. And in the Prince community, he touched so many lives, and he will be missed so much by me. He was my longest standing Prince friend. He always had my back, and I know that he still will from above. So, yes, rest in paradise, Ricky. Thank you so much for that.
I'll just say that he was the epitome of a well-lived life.
Yes.
I just that's when I think about it, he did life the right way.
Yes.
If you want to I appreciate him. Like I said, my life was made better. I appreciate you for putting me into contact to meet people like Brother Wyatt. And he did it. He lived life the right way. And I appreciate him adding and making my life better. That's it.
Yes. So actually during the funeral services this morning, one of our high school buddies, his name was Andrew Lynn, actually spoke at Ricky's funeral this morning. And one of the things that he said, and he was also in the band, with Ricky, and he was in the Prince too and all that, was that Ricky was out of this world. And what he means by that is that there's no one like Ricky. And one of the things that Andrew said this morning that I always knew, but I never really thought about it in this way. He talked about how Ricky was also out of his time, meaning like, you know, he would say things that really came from like the 60s or 70s, you know, like some of his lingo, you know, he was very old school, you know, and I just thought that was a really great way to say that. I really wish I could remember exactly what he said, but it was really, really moving. So let me see what we have here. We miss Ricky so much. And see, and I think that's the end. So C. Lee, do you want to take us out?
As we said last week, we want to, of course, always thank Prof. Duff for curating the space and curating so many spaces. In the words of Brother Turnbull, the chat makes it all happen. So we wouldn't be here and we wouldn't be having a great time without you guys in the chat. And as I always say, do two things. Hug somebody and tell somebody that you love them. Hug somebody and tell somebody that you love them. We'll see y'all next week with all this purple funk.
All right.
Hey, Big Sex.